A very good morning to you, good afternoon, good evening, depends on where you're watching from. My name is Moses, and welcome to Prime Media Studios. This is the newspaper review for the 1st of August 2023. I believe everyone is okay and everyone is doing just fine. I want to really thank everyone over the past few months for, subscribing to our channels and turning on the notifications on your devices. Thank you so much. We love you. Okay, first of all, we'll be moving straight to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And it says, the top story there says, Tinubu attacks leadership hardship with 500 billion palliatives. Tinubu attacks hardship with 500 billion palliative. 500 billion naira palliative. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday unveiled measures to cushion the effects of the economic downturn caused by fuel subsidy removal in the country, telling Nigerians he understood the hardship and he came to help out, not hurt them. He came to help out, not hurt them. The president also said his administration would energize micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and the informal sector as drivers of growth with 125 billion naira. He also said the sum of 50 billion naira would be spent on conditional grants to 1 million nano businesses between now and March 2024. He explained that the government's target was to give 50,000 naira each to 1,300 nano business owners rather, in each of the 774 local governments across the country. As he was being sworn in May 29th, President Tinubu implemented full removal of fuel subsidy, leading to the hike in fuel price from 200 naira to between 567 naira and 617 naira per litre across the country. He also abolished multiple exchange rates, forcing the dollar to exchange over 850 naira at the black market. It was less than 461 naira to a dollar as at May 2023. The development took inflation from 22.41% in May 2022 to 22.79% in June, with an attendant gnashing of teeth among most Nigerians, especially the poor. In 1794 World National Broadcast on the current economic challenges, yesterday Tinubu assured Nigerians that things will get better soon, and we hope it will get better very, very soon. A news following that says, article in court as parties adopt final addresses. Article in court as parties adopt final addresses. Also, NLC insists on going ahead with protest. NLC insists on going ahead with protest. We could recall that the organized labor on Monday insisted on going ahead with its planned protest over the removal of petroleum subsidy in the country, rising from another round of meeting of the steering committee on palliatives to the presidential villa Abuja yesterday. They also expressed doubts about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's ability to control inflation and gasoline prices due to the unification of the exchange rate. That is that about that. If you want to read more, you can just visit Vanguard newspaper this morning. A news also following that says at least 20 people killed, 19 missing in China rainstorm. That is on the international scene. At least 20 killed, 19 missing in China rainstorms. Ministerial screening, lawmaker salaries not enough, says Akpabio. Akpabio says that lawmaker salaries are not enough. In a sitting yesterday, U.S. sanctions 20 in Maldives over Islamic State links. U.S. sanctions 20 in Maldives over Islamic State links. Europeans set to evacuate from tense Niger following coup. Europeans set to evacuate from tense Niger Republic following coup. Why Russian investors should localize production in Nigeria, says Envoy. Why Russian investors should localize production in Nigeria, says Envoy. If you want to get more news on Vanguard, visit their website or visit their um, uh, physical store for more news and more details. Now we're moving to Punch this morning. The big story there says subsidy pains. Labour insists on protest as Tinubu says 500 billion naira palliative 3,000 buses. Labour insists on protest as Tinubu okays 500 billion naira palliative and 3,000 buses. The organized labor has said it will hold its planned nationwide protest on Wednesday despite the Monday rollout of subsidy removal and palliative plans by President Bola Tinubu. Tinubu had in national broadcast unveiled 500 billion naira palliative for manufacturers, small businesses, and farmers. He also released plans to increase salaries and acquire 3,000 mass transit buses all over the state. Notwithstanding the president's last-minute moves to avert the protest, the Nigeria Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero said the rally would hold in line with its schedule. Ajaero spoke shortly after talks between the organized labor and the federal government on Monday became inconclusive. The talk is expected to resume on Tuesday, that is today. The Presidential Steering Committee on Palliative meeting between the government and labor was held at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. So the meeting was held inconclusive, and they'll be meeting today to finalize everything. That's that on subsidy removal. Let us now move on to other news following that on Punch. Nigeria lacks enough industries to employ high graduate turnout, says NECA. Nigeria lacks enough industries to employ high graduate turnout, says NECA. Also, Defense Ministry sets up health emergency unit. Defense Ministry sets up health emergency unit. Also, Australian man charged with sex crimes against 91 young girls. Australian man charged with sex crimes against 91 young girls. FCT natives beg Tinubu for ministerial slot. FCT natives beg Tinubu for ministerial slot. Tinubu's broadcast deceptive waste of time, Articles 8. Tinubu's broadcast is deceptive and it's a waste of time, says Articles 8. The news following that on the international scene says junta-led Burkina and Mali won against military intervention in Niger. Junta-led Burkina and Mali won against military intervention in Niger Republic. Following the ECOWAS announcements yesterday that day before yesterday, I beg the pardon, says that if Niger Republic does not return power to the Democrats, they would send in troops into Niger Republic. Now, Niger Republic is actually giving warning. Burkina Faso is giving warning. Mali is giving warning that if troops are sent into Niger, they will declare war. And suspecting that Russia is actually going to fund the war, for going to fund Burkina Faso and Mali in the war. And let us look at the big picture here. If the president of ECOWAS actually sends troops into Niger, and Niger accidentally, let me say, declares war in the following African countries, Nigeria will be the most to be affected because we have six Nigerian states, surrounding and sharing borders with Burkina Faso, with Mali, and with Niger. So it will actually affect Nigeria, and Nigeria has a whole lot to lose when it comes to that war. So I would beseech the president of ECOWAS, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to please think twice and make sure that nobody pressurizes him in taking decisions. He should listen to his advisors squarely, scrutinize the advice, and take proper cognizance. You understand? So that this war would not break out among these African countries. That is that about the coup d'etat in Niger Republic. A news under that says Senate screens 14 tackles ministerial nominees over age and tax. Senate screens 14 tackles ministerial nominees over age and tax. Over 1 trillion naira saved since subsidy removal, says Tinubu. Over 1 trillion naira saved since subsidy removal, says Tinubu. FG replies Falana, insists NLC strike illegal. FG, federal government replies Falana, insists NLC strike illegal. NANS, ASU disagree as FG halts fee hike. NANS and also ASU disagrees as FG halts fee hike. That is that about Punch. You could visit us online. Now let's move on to the nation this morning. The featured news desk on subsidy pay says Tinubu rolls out relief package. Tinubu rolls out relief package. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday unfolded a raft of relief packages to cushion petrol subsidy removal pain. He announced the pain to spend billions of naira between now and March 2024. That is that about subsidy pain. Labour insists on protests despite ongoing talks with the federal government. Labour insists on protests despite ongoing talks with the federal government. It's time to deliver, Tinubu tells military. It's time to deliver, Tinubu tells military. Lagos slashes bus fares by 50%, poor families to get food packs. Lagos slashes bus fares by 50% and poor families to get food packs. Senate to mediate between federal government and NLC. Senate to mediate between federal government and NLC. Other news following that says troops destroy more IPOB and ESN camps in Anambra and Imo State. Troops destroy more IPOB and ESN camps in Anambra and Imo State. Article in court as parties adopt final addresses. Article in court as party adopt final addresses. That's that on the nation. Now let us move on to the channels television. The top story there says article present as tribunal moves to adopt written address against Tinubu. Article present as tribunal moves to adopt written address against Tinubu. The news following that says Tinubu to attend Benin Republic's 63rd independence anniversary. Tinubu to attend Benin Republic's 63rd independence anniversary. Senate screens Wike carry Onyejocha, 11 other ministerial nominees. Senate screens Wike carry Onyejocha, 11 other ministerial nominees. Taking a bow, not confirmation, Akpabio tells ministerial nominees. Taking a bow, not confirmation, Akpabio tells ministerial nominees. Planned strike will cripple Nigeria. Senate appeals to NLC. Planned strike will cripple Nigeria. Senate appeals to NLC. NSA Ribadu in closed-door meeting with Southeast governors. Nuru Ribadu in closed-door meeting with Southeast governors. Full subsidy only benefited smugglers and fraudsters, says President Tinubu. Fuel subsidy only benefited smugglers and fraudsters, says President Tinubu. Tinubu decorates new service chiefs with higher ranks at presidential villa. Tinubu decorates new service chiefs with higher ranks at presidential villa. Full text of President Tinubu's broadcast to Nigerians. And also the last but not the least, look beyond the temporary pains and have faith in us, Tinubu tells Nigerians. That is that about the fuel subsidy pain on channels. Let us now move on to the song. It says here in the cover, says subsidy removal, we've saved 1 trillion naira in 2 months, Tinubu tells Nigerians. We've saved 1 trillion naira in 2 months, Tinubu tells Nigerians. Imam Suleiman Ibrahim pledges unwavering commitment to serve as Nasarawa State Minister nominee. Imam Suleiman Ibrahim pledges to unwavering commitment to serve as Nasarawa State Minister nominee. Don task Tinubu governors on selfless leadership. Don task Tinubu governors on selfless leadership. All of that you can find on The Sun Nigeria. You could visit their website or visit their physical state across the country. The last but not the least says Daily Trust. Labour faults Tinubu's broadcast, insists on protest. Labour faults Tinubu's broadcast, insists on protest. The organized Labour has expressed doubt, in Tinubu's broadcasts, and they have insisted that the strike would go on as planned. The Labour vowed to proceed with its planned protest over the removal of petroleum subsidy, saying that what he told Nigerians was neither here nor there, considering that after spending 2 months in office, there was no concrete measures to bring immediate succor to the people. Tinubu had, in his broadcast, said his administration was monitoring the effects of the exchange rate and inflation on gasoline prices with a pledge to intervene if and when necessary. But addressing reporters after the resumed meeting of the Presidential Steering Committee on Palliatives held at the State House, Abuja, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, said the plan for workers to proceed on a peaceful protest from tomorrow had not changed. That is that about that. And also, scramble for APC's vacant positions intensifies as NEC meets hold on Wednesday. Scramble for APC's vacant positions intensifies as NEC meets on Wednesday. Issues around Sanusi and Coronation Hall. Basket Mouth's ex-wife, that's on entertainment, says marry a partner that is kind to your siblings and parents. That is that on entertainment. Anambra Transport Union rejects government's tax enforcement team. Court orders Plateau CP to unseal local government secretariats. Usman's gripping memoir navigates stormy waters at NPA. And that is that on the Daily Trust this morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for subscribing to our channels, and thank you for always joining us every morning. Join us in the next hour for a very big show, the big show on Prime Media Studios. Do not forget to keep on subscribing to our channels and keep on your notification so that you get notified anytime we come online. Thank you so much and have a blessed day. See you in the next hour. Goodbye.